Scots pine, obviously. Whose is this?
This is Sula's.
This is very nice, and a very beautiful tree, and good thought about the unusual pot, because the tree is very unusual as well. Scots pines are probably one of the best pines to bonsai. They are very beautiful, and they are very easy to grow also. There's many pruning techniques for pines, depending on what you want to achieve. It's a question of doing the right thing at the right time, like with most pruning. Style-wise for this tree, it's great. The only thing we need to do now with it is we need to stop the tree from growing. It's now putting on too much growth and becoming really quite heavy. We need to get refinement now. Where in some trees we're wanting to get lots and lots of buds, at this point now we want lots of buds in the right place, but very, very, very small buds. And we can do that in a number of ways. When you first of all collect a pine tree, while it's still in its wooden box, you want to allow the tree to grow very, very strongly. Okay? As much growth possibly as we like. Big needles. Very big. When it was growing in the field, maybe only small needles. But now that it's in a box and you're feeding it heavily, big needles. What we need to achieve at this stage, early in maybe the first 3 or 4 years after collection, is back buds. We need buds back here. Okay? And to do that, we allow the tree to grow strongly. And then maybe September, October, we take the entire growth for that season, everything that is made this season, we take it out. So the tree has thickened, the branches have got stronger, the tree has also, because we've let it grow, put on many, many, many more roots. Okay? So it's now filled its pot. And now it's very, very strong because we fed heavily and we allowed it to grow strongly. Now we get buds appearing. And then, once we've got those, we can prune back. And next year now we can do the same. So, following year we allow these to grow, then we prune back, and we get more buds, and so on. And that's what we do early in the tree's life. Maybe for the first 3 or 4 years we have to give ourselves the material to make the bonsai with, and we do that by creating back buds. But a tree like this now is much further on. We've made the buds, we've got the branches. The classical way of growing 2 needle pines, this is not the same as white pine, but 2 needle ones, is, if this is our shoot today, this is how the tree looks, okay? This is our branch. Next year, it'll grow. Then hopefully it would be nice to say in sort of end of May, June, but the weather has been terrible this year. So, you know, you have to work on trees not by the calendar, but by how the tree is growing. So the tree grows, okay? Then we take that growth up again. Instead of being in September or October, we do it in May or June. Back to where it was. And then, same season, we end up with many more buds. We choose maybe just 2 buds only, take the rest out with tweezers. So we take the buds that we don't want out, and then in the rest of the season, it only puts on small amounts of growth. Okay? So very short, compact shoots. Then, in very early spring, February time, we can take off all last year's needles. We can take off some of last year's, and do some wiring, okay? So we can make the branch a bit neater. And now we have 2 shoots on that one. Then the tree grows again, and again in May time, we can cut those shoots away. And then we end up with 2, 3 small buds, and then we start creating a foliage pad from what was just 1 shoot. Okay, and that's what we need to do now with this tree. However, we don't get good enough weather a lot of the time for this. So this is why we have to maybe do that over 2 seasons and not 1. So we have to maybe do, allow the tree to grow a little bit and balance the strength of the tree. So this tree is going to be strong here and not so strong here. Okay? So we need to make sure that these candles are the same here and here. So it might mean breaking these candles off quite a lot, maybe taking, a lot off. If you have 3 candles, then take the centre one out. And then tip the other 2 so they're the same size as the ones down here. Allow the tree to open and grow, and then at the end of the season, you prune those back just to a couple of needles. And then the following year, you repeat it, and we get a bit more density that way. But Scots pine are very, very reliable trees. I say the best pine possibly for bonsai. And certainly much stronger than white pine and black pine in this climate. And certainly in the UK, our winters are too wet for white pine to do very, very well. But style-wise for this tree, you see that this has been styled. You see how this bit is thinner and is very well made. However, the top of the tree has yet to be styled like this. We started with the lowest branches. These are already weaker, and now, because we've styled it, they're weaker still. Yet the top is left untouched and is still too strong. So tomorrow, we need to finish the rest of the tree and take back some of the old needles. We need to thin, we need to prune back. So this top is the same as this branch here. Or this will just get weaker still. It's already weak and this is already strong. So, if you imagine your bonsai split up into layers, 1, 2, 3, okay? 1 is going to be the strongest part of the tree. This needs holding back. This is like the very rich and these are like the very poor. This needs holding back. So you have to tax these more. And then lower people tax less. So you need to prune much heavily back, open out, thin the top. Then the second level, the shoulders of the tree, the shoulders here, less, but still prune. So at the top of the tree with a pine, you might get a long candle like that. At the bottom of the tree, you might only get that. Okay. The middle part of the tree, something like that. So you make it with lots, maybe 3 buds at the top per shoot, 2 and then 1. We need to make it all the same. So we need this to make more shoots and this one to make less. So we need to prune this top of this tree as soon as possible. If we leave it over winter, this branch will get weaker and the top will form lots and lots and lots of buds. So this needs doing urgently. So we need to thin some needles out, we need to reshape some branches, and we need to try to bring it in a little bit, but most importantly, we need to hold this top back. It's getting carried away, it's far too strong. But other than that, it's a very beautiful tree. It's a very thin trunk, very beautiful bungeon style tree. So we need to make this head a little lighter and thinner. Already a good start's been made. This has been made very, very beautifully, very nice branch, but the rest of the tree also needs the same. Interesting part of the tree is obviously this elbow here, this part in there. We should be able to see that because it's a character of the tree. It's very beautiful, so we want to be able to see him. Maybe we wouldn't be so interested in maybe seeing this part of the trunk. A lot of bonsai is about bringing the beautiful parts of the tree to your attention and hiding the not so beautiful parts away. Okay, so we need to see this elbow because it's a very nice part of the tree. The same here, okay, where it changes direction again. It's very interesting and very beautiful, so we want to be able to see that. Pine obviously is known for its rough bark. If anybody ever touches the bark, shoot them. You have my permission. Don't, because people say, oh, beautiful bark. And it won't grow back for many, many years, so don't touch the bark at all on pines. When you work on pines and you wire them, always wire from underneath. If your fingers go in this way, from the top to work on them, you will damage the needles. So always from underneath, always gentle from underneath, wire and work, okay? From this position, always. Never attack from the top, always attack from underneath. So gently wire the tree. But again, it's one of the most beautiful trees here. Yeah, just if we again, this asymmetrical triangle is very important. This is getting very, very strong. Okay, it's almost the same either side, this way and this way. So we need to make sure it's definitely this way. So maybe prune a little harder on this side, a little bit more. But that can be done when you make it with wire. But it's very, very beautiful. So with Scots pines, you can prune back quite heavily. As a child, I used to, when I was starting bonsai, I started bonsai I was about 12 or 13. I even defoliated a pine, took every needle off, cut with scissors, and it threw out buds everywhere. So, you know, they're very, very tough trees. Even if they have problems with the roots, you can still, even with bad root rot, you can still bring them back if you know what you're doing. It's a very, very strong species. We should use more native European species because we know that they survive and live in our strange climate.
What we have been learned earlier is that you can't defoliate a pine.
No,
it's going to die.
I wouldn't recommend it to anyone, but I have done it. I wouldn't recommend it. I mean, if the tree is very, very strong, and you prune, you know, if that's your pine branch, what I did was I cut back just each set of needles back to just the sheath that they grow in. That's all. And new buds popped all over. But it has to be a very strong tree. It was a very cheap tree, probably cost like, at the time, €10. So, you know, if it died, I didn't care. I was 14 or 15 at the time. But it worked. It grew, and it's still doing well. I've since sold it, so it's doing very well in another collection now. But no, it is possible. Be careful with pines. The biggest pest is woolly aphid, which does the white cotton wool. That's the only real problem you have with pines. But that's all really. The whole point is trying to get it to back bud. White pine, however, like the Cascade one up there, will not back bud very easily at all. So we concentrate on not allowing the tree to grow. To keep the needle length down on both of them, don't feed until the needles have opened and hardened. So, and water very, very, very little. Allow the tree to become very, very pot bound also. Will help get the needle length down. If you make it too comfortable but lots of feed on, the needles will be like that. Be no good. So don't feed until these candles have opened, the needles hardened, and the trees stop growing for that season. Then put the feed on. But then only mild and light. These survive in very sparse and harsh conditions. So, you know, don't mollycoddle them too much. Don't be too kind to them. You know, a little bit harder. Same with the soil. Maybe a bit bigger soil next time. This is very, very fine. So it might be okay, but you might find it gets too wet, and you could find root problems. But this tree would survive in a pot maybe so big. You know, very, you know, it's in a big pot for the size of trunk, so big soil. You know, a bigger grade of soil in there.